Hello my friends and welcome back to Kev's Hobby Showcase. I'm of course Kevin. You may also have seen me on Tabletop Jones Productions where John and I are the two idiots playing board games. And today I'm going to be doing, what's going to be more of a regular occurrence, is going to be basically a comic book discussion. You know, well, at least what I hope is going to be a comic book discussion, because the comments will be available for anybody to make a comment and hopefully start a discussion. I'm gonna. I started doing. You know, I tried to do these before, and always wound up. I always wound up just centering on a specific storyline. But now I'm trying to expand on that. I mean, I'm hoping to get a decent amount of views on this, and hopefully, either whether it be entertained, whether it be inform, or whether it just be start a talk. I mean, I used to have a group of friends that I used to talk about comics all the time. And it could be fun, it could be annoying, but it could be fun. And that's what I'm hoping for here, is that it could be fun. So what I'm going to talk about today is the last Marvel Superhero Secret Wars series and how it is comparable to what's going on in the MCU right now. Now, unfortunately, I don't have clips or movie posters for the movies that I'll be talking about. I do have pictures for the for that Marvel series, which you'll be seeing in this little corner over here. That's where I'm going to put it. Do the little picture-in-picture thing. So what I'm going to be it's only going to be a couple of points that I'm going to talk about because I don't want to make these videos too long. But what I am going to talk about first is what was being mentioned in the MCU that people who read Marvel Comics know all about, which is incursions. The most times that they mentioned the incursion was during the movie Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, and because like they talked about it when he was in that that alternate universe, and he met the Illuminati. I don't know if for those of you who've seen the movie, that's that's what he basically that's what he did over there, and it introduced of course the whole array of like Marvel Comics characters that they introduced. Patrick Stewart, was playing Professor X. They had, John Krasinski was playing Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four. So basically, they were bringing in all the teams that the MCU didn't have yet, or weren't, like they. And let's face it, we all know why they didn't have it yet. It's because of ownership rights for people who for the different movie companies that pretty much own the rights to these characters. Which, I mean, I'm sure when Marvel first started putting out movies, they probably didn't think that at some point they would be able to have something like, it's like when Disney bought them, they were basically given an opportunity to basically to pretty much expand. I mean, they never thought of the MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe wasn't even a thing until they started making movies after Disney had bought them. So, and of course, we all know it started with Iron Man and it progressed from there. So, so when they spoke about incursions. Like what is an incursion? Well, for the Marvel Universe, the incursions were when basically two alternate realities would start to collide. And when that happened, one would survive, one would not. And that's, so in the comics, we started learning about this in some of the Avengers comics, because then they started doing like a thing where they put like a banner up on the top of the cover. It was like basically a countdown, I forget what they called it. I probably should have looked at it before I started doing this, but it was a countdown, and they pretty much Reed Richards knew what was coming, because he, for anybody who reads, knows that he was doing that whole thing with the Council of Reeds, where he was conferring with Reed Richards from across the multiverse, and including the one from the Ultimate Universe who became the character the Maker, the Reed Richards that kind of went a little nuts, and so it was. So it was, they basically had it coming for a while that was going to happen. And then, of course, so now they're talking about it in the MCU. They're talking about incursions. And they haven't mentioned, other than that one movie, they haven't mentioned it too much in other movies, but there was, I remember at the end of the Marvels, the end credit scene over there, it kind of gave us a little bit of an insight as to the whole bit with the incursions, because I mean, for those of you who've seen the movie, I mean, the movie's been out for more than a year, so I think it's safe to talk about that right now. So what happened at the end credit scene? Well, I mean, for anybody who's seen the movie knows that the character Monica LeBeau or Photon, as she's called. I think it's a superhero name. I don't know if they use. I don't remember if they used it in the movie, but I know that's what they use in the comics. She wound up falling through a rift, and they didn't know where she was. But then, of course, at the end credit scene, we find her. Where do we find her? We find her in the X Mansion, and who's attending to her? Beast, played by Kelsey Grammer, who played him in the who played like the adult Beast in the first bunch of X-Men movies. So that's so now that kind of gives us a little bit of an insight as to, hey, we got some of these movies coming up, and they're talking about incursions, because like what's coming up? Well, first Avengers Doomsday, and then Avengers Secret Wars. Avengers Secret Wars, it looks like what they're doing is they're following the plot from the last Secret Wars comic book, and I find it a bit of exciting, very exciting. I'm hoping that they do it good because listen, if they can't do it exact, I don't think they're gonna do it exact because what happened in that comic series, for those who read it, basically it was basically a piece of each part of the multiverse was put together in one planet, held by Doctor Doom, and that brings me to another point that I wanted to talk about, Doctor Doom. So now, we're going to see our first glimpse of Doctor Doom in Avengers Doomsday. At least that's, I think. I don't think they're going to, unless they touch on him in Fantastic Four, which they haven't hinted yet. At least I don't think they have. So far the only thing they've really hinted at in the Fantastic Four movie that's coming out, it's actually coming out very soon, is Galactus. Galactus, and they have the Silver Surfer, which I know everybody was a little upset that they made the Silver Surfer a woman, but I think with that, I think they're going by one of the multiverse Silver Surfers, where Silver Surfer was a woman, and where instead of I can't put the blanket on his name, but it was Shal-Bal instead of Norrin Rad. Thank you. I remembered. So yeah, but I have a feeling that when they do Galactus in the regular MCU, that it's going to be Norrin Rad and not Shal-Bal. I think it's going to be like the regular bit. So, but the thing is that, so now we know Doom is coming. We only know it because they did an announcement of it. They have not shown any indication in the MCU that Doom is coming. But of course, we still got more movies to come. Like I said, we got the Fantastic Four movie coming up. Within about a month from now. From me making this video, it's coming up in about a month. Now, what now in the comics? Like I said, Doom was it was like a lot of it was kind of glossed over. I never actually saw a comic series that explained it, but it's like they had the countdown. The incursions were coming one by one. The universes were being knocked out, and till it came to two was what we know as 616, which is like the number for the regular comic universe, and the one that was from like the Ultimate comics, which I don't remember the number. I know it was in the thousands. So those were the only two left, and then they collided, and basically it's like all of a sudden, it's like first like nothing exists, and then all of a sudden it's they're saying, oh well, we got we now have a planet, and it's got these little pieces from all the different universes, and Doom is God Emperor Doom is in charge. And they said he basically became God Emperor Doom by defeating the Beyonders. Now, I never saw a series that actually showed that. So I don't know where they came up with that. I don't know why they didn't show it, because that would have been pretty damn interesting to see, in my opinion. But no, they never did show it. But they just said, yeah, this is what happened, and he's in charge of everything, and that's why. And I'm like, oh, all right. So read the series. The series is nice. I like reading. I like the series. I did like that, near the end, of course, because one thing I forgot to say was that while all the incursions were happening, I think at the very last one, Reed Richards put a ship together, and it was only like a very few select heroes were on it. I didn't look back, so I don't remember exactly who was in it. I just remember that Reed was very, very upset because, first of all, he sees, his family's not with him. So first of all, he sees Doom is in charge of everything, and then he sees that with Doom is basically his wife, Susan, and his brother-in-law, Johnny. And what happened to Ben? Well, he made Ben into a wall. I think he was. I think he was like the wall that was keeping out because amongst all the different parts of the multiverse, what they also bring in, there's like a whole section with the Marvel zombies. Yeah, yeah. Nothing wrong with that, right? So anyway, so you got that going on. So all these different things going on, and it was kind of interesting to see some of these because like basically they made like a little mini series for a lot of the different areas. Like some of them were pretty interesting. Like there was one, like I said, well there was the zombie ones, and there was one where it's like what if the Civil War, the Marvel Civil War didn't end, and they showed it where there was like very very deep hatred between Steve Rogers and Tony Stark, which was like insane to read, but it was entertaining. Then they had another one that I thought was interesting, where they took like basically all the Thors and had them together as like one force, so they call it the Thor Corps. I mean, it's like how many times are you gonna do something like that, right? I mean, for the regular MCU, they had the Nova Corps, and then they're gonna have this. It was nice. It was a little weird, but it was nice. I mean, pretty much all of the series were just a little bit weird. But yeah, they had. It's like another one was what if House of M stayed the way it was. They basically took a lot of what was very interesting storylines that did end, and they basically it's like the old what if, like what if it just kept going. So it was interesting. But again, with Doom, it was like, okay, so he's in charge of everything, but how did did he take charge of everything? They never actually showed that. But they did show him getting defeated at the end. So and so then but with what I said before, that's like the last point I wanted to bring up is the Beyonders. I mean, anybody who reads Marvel Comics knows the very first and second Secret Wars very deeply involved the Beyonder. One, first of all, we just thought there was one. We didn't know there was a whole race of them. And then all of a sudden, it's like now they're talking about the Beyonders. I'm like, wait, there's more than one? So, but anyway, so now it's like, yeah. So how did Doom defeat the Beyonders? We don't know. I mean, unless listen, if they did say it, if there was a series, please in the comments tell me, because I would love to read that. Or if I could find it. Hopefully, you know, hopefully my finances improve a bit and I can actually afford it, or I could borrow it from someone. Who knows? But anyway, that's besides the point. So, yeah, I mean, if anybody out there knows, if there's a series from that, or just anything. I mean, if you have any news about, about the MCU that I haven't mentioned, as far as it pertains to Doom and the upcoming Avengers Secret Wars. I mean, anything that I mean, by all means, add it in the chat, and love to talk about it. Love to have a nice discussion about this, and I'm sure there's a bunch of other points that I didn't bring up as it relates to both of these issues. Both issues, both of these subjects, whether it be this last Secret Wars series in the MCU, or what's going on. I'm sorry, last Secret Wars series in the Marvel Comics, and what's going on in the MCU right now. I mean, there's plenty I'm sure that I haven't touched on. So anything you want to talk about, put in the comments. The comments are gonna be wide open. Just please, keep everything civil. Let's not have any fighting. Let's just have excuse me. Let's just have a discussion. Let's just talk about it. Because that's when you're in a hobby like this with comic books. It's not always good to just keep it to yourself. It's good to just to be able to talk to somebody about it, and it just like a nice exchange of information, exchange of opinions, an exchange of like just saying, oh yeah, I really like that, and then some people say, oh yeah, I really like that too, or saying, oh, maybe not, I didn't like that so much, but I really like this. I mean, it's nice. It's nice to be able to do something like that. So that's what I'm trying to start here. So anybody out there, you want to talk about this? By all means, I'll check the comic section, the comments. I almost said comics. I'll check the comment section as many times as possible. I mean, I usually get a notification that there's a comment there, and I'll try to answer as best I can. And if it's a question, or if you're informing me, I mean, absolutely, I would love to see whatever it is that you got. As far as information, as far as whatever series I may have missed out on. Especially with what I just asked, as far as Doom defeating the Beyonders, by all means, I would love to, and if I'm ever wrong about anything, correct me. Absolutely correct me, because, I would rather know the truth than, be blissfully ignorant. I guess is the best way I could put it. So, so like I said, just in the comments, please let's start a discussion. about this. You know, if you'd like to. I mean, if not, we'll wait for the next one. So I'm going to be doing these once a month, like I said, and you know, that's all I got for today. And so yeah, so like I said, you know, please comment, you know, please like, subscribe, and share this video as much as possible, especially if you know anybody else who would love to have you know, like a nice discussion about this, or you know, or has any information that would you know, kind of, you know, that would, you know, make this you know, make this conversation better. You know, absolutely, I would love to hear from you. So you know, please like, subscribe, and share, and also, please go to Tabletop Jones Productions and do the same there. I mean, I would love to, you know, I'm always trying to get more support for the channels, always trying to reach out and you know, interact with more and different people. So you know, absolutely, let's, you know, let's try to start a conversation. Let's try it again in English, right? Conversation, and just keep it going. All right. So thank you very much for watching. I hope that, you know, that this you know, sparks you to you know, to have a nice exchange, and take care of yourself, and I will see you again. Thank you very much.